Fanatics isn't just our name, it's who we are. Loyal, passionate fans dedicated to our favorite teams and to the sports we love. That's why we're honored to be able to offer fans the world's largest collection of official sports apparel and sports jerseys from all leagues, teams, and players you love. We feature a wide selection of gear from every league, including the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, and NCAA merchandise, which allows us to serve fans of football, baseball, hockey, basketball, lacrosse, soccer, golf, and, well, everything else that gets your heart pumping. Go to Fanatics.com by using the QR code on your screen right now to celebrate your teams. That's Fanatics.com, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Discover our collection of handcrafted candles. That's right, every product is thoughtfully created in small batches free from harmful toxins for mindful everyday indulgence. Our candles are hand-poured in coconut soy wax with natural wood wicks, offering a long-lasting burn and rich fragrances. Create a cozy, safe ambiance for your home with candles from Alley Rose Fragrances. First-time customers use the promo code InsideEdge20 to receive 20% off your order. AlleyRoseFragrances.com, proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Podcast Network.
This is Midnight Run on the Inside Edge Network. Here's your host, Anthony Alford.
Hey, hello everybody. Welcome to Midnight Run here on the Inside Edge Network. It is 12:02 here on this now Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, May 27th. It's the day after GTA 6 was released. Wait, hold up. That didn't happen? I'm sorry. I didn't know Trish Stratus was a GTA fan. Listen, I saw some. She retweeted the press release from Rockstar Games from last year saying that the release date of GTA 6 was May 26, 2026. And Trish Stratus, of all people, is a gamer, real gamer. She's like, bro, I thought the game was coming out. What are we doing? So, what's the new release date? I guess the confirmed one is November 19th of later this year. We'll see. But that's the confirmed date, November 19th, GTA 6. So, today would have been a big day. Hey, analytically, it did come out. Analytically, it was locked in, right? I've been thinking about how I can analytically be better at my job, how I can analytically be better at how I operate and, life, day to day. And when you think of it that way, when you think about, when you think about analytically doing things a certain way, you feel better about yourself. So what? You didn't make it to work on time. So what? You didn't pay the gas bill. So what? You didn't fully pay rent or pay your mortgage. I mean, you were right there analytically. My expected spend on gas was $20. That's my expected spend because analytically, that's how much we were spending on gas, $20 to $30 a tank. So I kept it there. I expected my tank to be full, and then life happens. Okay, you got to laugh at something, right? Kevin Hart years ago had a stand-up earlier in his career. It was called Laugh at My Pain. I kind of feel that way right now as a Cavs fan. I actually saw right before I logged off from my day job. Remember a couple weeks ago, I think we were still in the Detroit series, and I told you about my work meeting. And one of my coworkers, he's a New York Knicks fan. He chimed in our meetings like, Anthony, you don't want to see the Knicks. You don't want to see the New York Knicks. They're gonna whoop your behinds. And I said, in our group meeting, our team meeting, where you got to be somewhat professional, I said we're going to smoke y'all. I didn't even open it up yet, but I have 2 unread messages from my coworker that I have to read first thing tomorrow morning. I didn't even open it up. I saw it on our Slack channel, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to read this right now. I'm not even going to do it. I'm not even ready to take this off. Forget it. All right, so after we got our behinds kicked, Kenny Atkinson and the front office, they're back. We heard the reports earlier today from Joe Varden, Brian Rinhurst, Shams reporting through various outlets. And Kyle Cornell on Unfiltered earlier today, he broke it down. And I have some thoughts as well that I'll share with you. But first, Eli, if we have it, let's go to Joe Varden. He was on SiriusXM NBA radio explaining the Cavaliers making a decision to bring back Kenny Atkinson and also keep the front office intact. Take a look.
When you think about how, I guess, like how complicated their money situation is, like, yes, they're going to try to make a big splash. Like, whether it's make this huge trade for Giannis, which I don't think they're going to do, but they could, or if it's try to get LeBron here or whatever it is. That is a confusing and complicated issue. And by and large, when you're all in on this roster, then you're all in on the roster. Like, you paid this much money. It's hard to get out from under the money and also improve. Dan doesn't want to take a step back. So they're all saying, look, we've made it this far together. We were the best team in the regular season for most of the previous year. We made it to a conference finals this time. Let's see what happens next year.
You're going to get your ass kicked again. That's what happened. That was Joe Varden, along with Justin Termini, Eddie Johnson on Sirius XM NBA radio. I'll remind everybody what Dan Gilbert said after Game 4, after last night, after the Cavaliers. By the way, I didn't have an opportunity to react to this last night, but Chad on the post-game show yesterday mentioned that the Knicks out-rebounded Cleveland 60-31, 60-33. That makes it better. Are you kidding me? Dan Gilbert after the game yesterday said, we took a step ahead this spring, but we are nowhere near where we need to be. I can't thank the fans enough for the support this year. We will dig in all summer and do everything we possibly can to take the next step. We will grind until we get there. Yeah, I'm mad. I'm pissed. Until you realize that Kenny Atkinson was Dan Gilbert's choice to be the head coach in the first place. Until you realize, boy, pride sometimes really overtakes the efforts of winning a title, right? You don't want to admit that you made a mistake. And we can't use the excuse of, oh, Dan Gilbert didn't watch the game. Dan Gilbert was locked in on the games as much as me and you were. And Dan Gilbert made the choice. This is what this decision to bring back Kenny Atkinson and to bring back the front office, a front office that put together a team that is soft, put together a roster. You got people nationally calling you quitters, and I have a 4-minute monologue from Donovan Mitchell explaining why we don't value James Harden, as if it's our fault that you sucked in the Eastern Conference final. Like, this is the part right here. This is what pisses me off, and I thought I was going to be fine because Chad and Eli was talking about Memorial Day cookouts, and I was in a good mood. But it happens once I start talking. Some things happen, and it just pisses me off. This is one of them. You come to us, and you're giving us a lecture. Every single member of this team that just got their behinds kicked is giving us lectures about how it's our fault that we don't appreciate them. You got to be effing kidding me. Us not appreciate? Yeah, we don't like it. Our team gets our behinds kicked, and you also sit there like, oh, you should appreciate the fact that James Harden is a future Hall of Famer and that we have him on this team, blah, blah, blah. Results effing matters. Results. And don't tell me maybe I am crazy, but Dan Gilbert felt this exact way. But then Dan Gilbert got swayed. Between that text last night that he sent and this morning, conversations happened. Kobe Altman got in his ear explaining, hey, analytically, we made it to the conference finals. Analytically, we're right there. We got Donovan Mitchell. We'll play the clip for you momentarily. We got Donovan Mitchell talking about why blow this thing up in the first place. I got James Harden talking about how this team, even though you got your behinds kicked, murked on the court, talking about, oh, well, even though we lost the series 4-0, I still think we're the better team. Who's in the effing finals? Oh, my fault. The Cavs made it in 2K. Maybe an online play, we made the NBA finals. Maybe, NBA Live 2001, we made the NBA finals. Maybe Ricky Davis is coming back. He's walking through the door. I got these guys talking about like the 08 Celtics. When you hear them talk about their one championship, they'll have you believing that they're one of the greatest teams to have ever been assembled in NBA history. I really believe these guys truly believe that they're one of the greatest teams in NBA history. Except the difference is they don't care about the results on the court. They just care that they participated. And that's why people hate the millennial generation that I'm in right now. Because the theme of our generation is that all we care about is participation. The general manager, Kobe Altman, and Ganzi, and Kenny Atkinson, they created this culture. They created it. And they think it's fine. They think it's okay. And Dan Gilbert just co-signed on it. He just co-signed. Dan Gilbert, by making this decision, essentially became the Cleveland Guardians. I hate to put it in that light, but it's true. This is a good enough team to sell tickets and win games in the regular season. They're going to get you all excited. They're going to get you all revved up, ready to go. And then come playoff time, Indiana's back with Tyrese Halliburton. Boston is not going to choke away a 3-1 lead in the playoffs. They'll be back. The Knicks are going to be back. Orlando's going to be there. Toronto's going to be there. Oh, by the way, Detroit is going to actually enhance their roster. And other teams will be there. So we may or may not be flirting with the play-in. And then if we end up in the play-in, we'll probably lose that. And then I'm going to get a lecture from this team talking about how we should appreciate the fact that they made the play-in in the first place. I'm telling you guys what's going to happen. Eli, I'm not yelling at you. I got to get this off my chest. Come on the screen, buddy. Eli, didn't I tell you? Oh, there he is. I'm sorry. This is my favorite part of the show.
I'm here, bud. I'm here. What's happening?
Eli, didn't I tell you how they haven't had their end of the season press conference yet? They will either at the end of this week or early next week. The Cavs.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't I tell you the tone of this press conference is going to be, well, we made it to the conference finals. We made it further than we did before, and we saw signs of a great team. And this core four only played 7 regular season games together, and they need a full season of work together, and they could turn this around. Didn't I tell you I'm telling you that's what they're going to say. That's what they're going to say.
Yeah, and it's frustrating. If they don't bring in a LeBron James or Giannis or both of them or somebody else,
I don't know how much excitement is going to be. We talk about all the time with the Cleveland Browns killing excitement with the quarterback battle and everything else. You want to kill excitement. Dan Gilbert's doing a good job of it by telling everybody they're safe. Everybody did a good job. High fives on the way out. Here's your gift bag. Thanks for a great season. And let's keep going. I agree with everything you're saying, Double A. It's the players talking out of pocket, basically. And I shouldn't say out of pocket, but that's how it feels. Where they're like, hey, you know what? It's not on us. We got great guys.
It is out of pocket. Double
yeah.
down on what you just said. It is out of pocket.
Yeah.
All of them.
You're right. And you know what? You look at it, it's like, why are we having to hear about how great of a leader James Harden is if we didn't see it throughout the last 4 games? Why are we hearing about how close they are if they got obliterated? And I think they lost every game by double digits to the New York Knicks. So how close really are we? Kenny Smith, we played the clip yesterday from Inside the NBA about, hey, this Cavaliers team took 2 steps back, and it sure feels like it. And running it back just feels like you're drinking spoiled milk. The milk's already spoiled. Why are we sipping on milk that was expired 2 weeks ago, or in this case, 2 years ago? I just think we are stepping backwards, and there needs to be some revisions. And I know Joe Varden in the clip with NBA Radio was talking about, hey, they're going to have some problems because of the way the money is, and they've invested a lot. Who cares? There's a lot of governors, owners, whatever you want to call them, that have invested into their team across a variety of sports, and then have to tear it down and go right back in and figure it out. And in fact, the Cavaliers did that in 2018 when they tore it down at the deadline, got rid of Isaiah Thomas, who they had money invested into. And Dwayne Wade, I know he was on a vet min or a little bit above, but they invested money into him. They had to go move out him and Jay Crowder and everybody and brought in these other contracts. Teams, including the Cavaliers, have done it before. So all due respect to Joe Vardy, he does a great job reporting on the Cavaliers, but I'm just having a hard time believing that the Cavaliers are just going to stand pat because it's a little bit awkward. We've heard the discussion about the second apron and how James Harden's going to try to get the Cavaliers under that by signing a more team-friendly deal after opting out of his player option. Honestly, Double A, is going to take a lot for me to get excited about this team, because how can you get excited about a team that just got their ass whooped 4 straight games, and now they're telling you pretty much everybody's going to be back for the most part. You're going to lose one of your better defenders in the second unit. I know we give him hell, but D Wade is one of the better second unit defenders, and Keon Ellis, who gave a lot of effort. You're going to probably lose both those guys. So I just don't know where you go from here for the Cavaliers.
Oh, there are ways where you can go. It's just they're choosing the path of least resistance, and it will fight them in the behind. And real quick to your point about Cavs Knicks, and I'm going to lump in the regular season because it kind of tells the story. Remember, on Christmas, they blew, I believe, a 17-point lead.
Yeah.
On Christmas Day. We could have won that game. So, again, this team, they're learning, of course. Oh, great. The first game on October 22nd, they lost that one, 119-111. They lost on Christmas, blowing a 17-point lead. The only game that the Cavaliers won over the Knicks, regular season or playoffs, was on February 24th, 109-94. And then Eastern Conference Finals, 115-104 in overtime in game 1, 109-93, 121-108, 130-93. So it's not even. Here's the thing. It would be one thing if, and we've seen this in basketball, where a team plays another team very close, but it's just a couple of plays here or there, and they just fall short, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've seen that. This is not it. This is not it. And I heard Kyle earlier today, and I fully 100% respect his opinion on basketball. He knows more basketball than he's forgotten more basketball than I know. But the one thing, and I heard what he said about what I said on the show about the momentum and overall big picture, he would be right in that momentum in basketball does matter. It heavily matters. But this is where we will agree to disagree, where I've truly believed this team mentally upstairs, if they would have held on to that 22-point lead, I truly believe they still would have got the doors blown off and they would have still lost the series in 5. Like, I still think we would be right where we are right now, even if we would have won game 1, because this team is not mature enough. And honestly, the culture is not mature enough to take those extra steps. This is not Oklahoma City. This is not San Antonio. I mean, at this rate, not even New York.
Yeah.
They want desperately, and I was hoping I was wrong about this. They want desperately to prove that they could win basketball the right way, as if there's some moral code about how to win championships in sports. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. Don't bend over and quit in the second quarter of basketball games in the conference finals, Eli.
Yeah, my final point on this, Double, I know we got to go to break. I know you'll probably have some more thoughts after the break about these fantastic Cavaliers. But
We'll play real quick after the break. Eli will go on after the break. We're going to play Donovan Mitchell trying to mansplain to us why we should appreciate James Harden and why we should lay off our ring culture. I don't know, the entire effing purpose of why we watch professional sports. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
You're spot on, pal. No, I mean, and I had a conversation last week, actually, crazy enough, Friday, before the last 2 games of the season, with Cleveland Cavaliers beat writer and beat reporter Spencer Davies, from Clutch Points and Basketball News, and we had a conversation about how this team, the Cavaliers, are emotionless. They're very emotionless for a team that is this far. And you wonder, for a team that's emotionless, okay, that means you're not going to get too high, like in terms of okay, you're not going to ride the highs, you're going to stay level. But that means you also shouldn't dip with the lows and have that completely defeat you. And unfortunately, and I respect, what's being said about this team in terms of that, the emotionless, the all that. And, Spencer's around the team a lot more than I am. But it sure seems like they got a little bit of emotion filled after game 1, that they completely lost where they were. And to your point, Double, they mentally were broken in Madison Square Garden. Whatever return, whatever roster, construction, and those guys coming back to Cleveland, whatever Cavaliers team returned back to Rocket Arena was not the same Cavaliers that went to Madison Square Garden.
We'll take a break. When we come back, you're going to hear Donovan Mitchell explain to us why we should appreciate James Harden instead of winning championships. We'll be back.
Small business owners are superheroes, but nowadays running your business means doing so inside your shop and on social media. That's why you should make Omega Video Marketing your sidekick. With a decade of content creation experience, I create dynamic, informative, and fun videos for your specific social needs that will increase brand awareness, get you more followers, and keep your social pages and websites current and fresh. I offer flexible pricing and turn times and will work with you to understand your brand and your story. All of that comes from the heart. My award-winning expertise is just the cherry on top. So let's get connected. After all, your brand is the alpha and my expertise is the omega.
Clean energy, bold flavors, and no jitters. See why people won't shut up about Dubby. Clean energy, no jitters or crash. Whether you're starting your workday or getting ready to exercise, Dubby Energy helps you lock in and focus. With over 15 flavors to choose from, you can't miss. Order Dubby Energy right now by using the QR code on your screen and use the promo code InsideEdge10 to receive 10% off your order. Dubby Energy, your energy-focused sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Hey guys, awesome show today. Broke down the big news. Kenny Atkinson going to be back with the Cavaliers. Feels kind of tone deaf, doesn't it, a little bit? Dan Gilbert saying a lot of changes, a lot of work's going to be done. And then the next day, right after getting swept in the Eastern Conference Finals, he's back. We talked about that. A lot of local news and notes and more of the same to come on your Wednesday. Diving back into the local news scene. What is going on? What's important for you? All that and more coming up 5 o'clock tomorrow right here on Unfiltered on the Inside Edge Network.
Yeah, we're a very, very talented group, you know. Like I said, you go through, we don't have the experience with, you know, playing amongst each other in playoff, postseason basketball. So literally it's our first time going through whatever we were going to go through. And I think we accomplished a lot, you know, winning a Game 7 at home, winning a Game 7 on the road, like, and getting to the conference finals. Now we have to take another 2 steps. Starting this summer, but take another 2 steps and being even better. Now you get a full season of understanding what we have as a group and setting ourselves up, like, positioning wise for better. Like, you know, being a 4th seed it's tough, you know. So yeah, you take a step at a time.
Welcome back, everybody. That was James Harden. Anthony Alford back here with you. James Harden coming off of an historic 12-point performance in a elimination game, 12 points, 4 rebounds, one of the very best to do it. And all right, we're going to play for you. And listen, I know, to talk real for 2 seconds, I know James Harden doesn't want to appear to be a bad guy. Nobody wants to be a bad guy. Nobody wants to be the heel in this story, right? James Harden, he's going to, chances are he's going to take the more team-friendly deal, create some flexibility, things like that. So obviously, in his mind, he wants to prove he's going to be, a team player and all that stuff. I have to give credit to Eli and chat. They pulled this, I believe Cameron Justice of News 5 had this clip, Cameron and NBA Media. I've never heard more, well, in the last week, I've heard a lot of damning comments from various members of the Cleveland Cavaliers, like very damning comments. By the way, remember, like and subscribe at Inside Edge Net on our socials. Inside Edge Net across YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Your subscription, matter. It's free, but if you're watching on YouTube, hit the notification bell at the bottom of the screen. If you're watching us on Twitter, please follow all of our content. We're on 7 days a week, and InsideEdgeNetwork.com. Go to our website. We have live programming, all Cleveland, Northeast Ohio based, 7 days a week, local digital leader for sports, entertainment, news, and mental health. We have all that for you. Inside Edge Network. We also have a team shop, station shop, network shop, merch store. over there. Use the promo code Insider to get a major discount. And if you do that, I believe we need 10 orders. Kyle will be shaving Eli's head on Unfiltered at some point next month. Okay, back to James Harden. And so Eli and Chad pulled this clip for primetime. You heard it there, but I want you to really pay attention to it. It's a little bit long, but pay attention to everything. Pay attention. I really want to like Donovan Mitchell so bad. I really do. He's a nice guy. He's a true ambassador of the sport. He really is. He's a true ambassador of Cleveland sports. We've talked about it all year long, that the league is doing their absolute best to position Donovan Mitchell as one of the stars of the league. One of the keynote stars post LeBron James, post Stephen Curry, post James Harden, post all these guys that have been in the league for a long time. Donovan Mitchell, he's positioned to be, they want him in that, NBC in their return to the NBA. The one guy that was in every single commercial was Donovan Mitchell. So I want to like him. I really do. There's a severe loser mentality that is with this team that it just blows my mind. And until you get some of these people out of here, this is what you have. This is it. So here's Donovan Mitchell explaining to us why. Actually, Eli, come on the screen for a hot second before we play this. Without giving away what the clip was about.
Yeah.
What emotions come to mind when you heard this clip yourself?
It made me want to pull my hair out, as you see my hair right now. We were talking about a leader and without giving away the clip. Just so many ringing endorsements for a guy that had 12 points yesterday. Shot 7 of 27 from 3 in game 7s. Just embarrassing. A very poor performance, and we are just sending out endorsements. This would be like if I ate at a local fast food joint and the burger sucked. I said, the burgers suck, but let me tell you about the history of the burger and why this burger has changed the game for years. This burger, it used to come with mustard and ketchup, and you had the crispy onion rings on there, and throw some fries on there, double A, just to make you happy, and it had a little bit of sprinkle of barbecue sauce, and it may have lost all that, but we need to show some respect to this beat up, this floppy, this lukewarm burger.
That's a good way to put it. All right, guys, here's the clip. Donovan Mitchell and James Harden, courtesy of Cameron Justice and NBA Media. Here it is, and then myself and Eli will both react to this. Take a look.
I think there's a lot to that. I think we ignore leadership by him. I think we ignore the human, the character of who he is. All positive things, by the way. I think we ignore the empowerment that he gives people. I think we also ignore his greatness in a major way. I say we, I really mean y'all. Sorry. This man changed the game of basketball. Changed the game of basketball in ways that we've never seen before. And we live in such a ring-dominant culture that we're willing to write a guy off because he hasn't gotten there. God, it's transcended basketball, right? In 75 years, no one's been able to do what he does. You can say the same thing about Steph Curry, Allen Iverson, right? Michael Jordan. James Harden's in that. So, yeah, obviously I can relate to not having reached a certain point, but I do also feel like we don't talk about his greatness enough. We don't talk about the person he is. He played alongside Joel Embiid, and Joel Embiid won MVP. He was 2 inches away from a conference finals with the Brooklyn Nets. Some of that is just unlucky stuff.
You can't control that. And he was on a bad hamstring. We don't talk about him playing through this. Man, I don't know if his thumb is still messed up. He hadn't said nothing since the report came out. We haven't heard nothing about it. Like, we don't talk about the mental fortitude to deal with that. Like, I don't know what it is, if he's healthy or not. I wouldn't be able to know because he has the same way he could have one leg and he'd be the same. And I think it's really, truly unfair, to be honest. Now more than ever, now that I see it on a daily basis. But that's just the society we live in. That's the world we live in. We're a ringed culture. That's just how we are. So, like I said to you, we can't fight it. It just is what it is. But I do think people overlook the greatness. 17 years, dog. Like, it's a long time. That's a long time. And I think we are so quick to jump on him and get on him about what he's doing at 36. At 36, right? Like, let's not forget this man he ran into a really good Golden State team 2 or 3 times. A team, like, so it's unfortunate, but I know that's what drives him, and that's ultimately, as a teammate, that's what drives me. But we sometimes lose the plot on the greatness of that individual and what he brings to the game of basketball, to the brand of basketball. So, yeah.
Okay. Eli and I back here with you because we're both going to react to that. Listen, off the top, I have no issue defending your teammate. That's defending your teammate. No issue with that whatsoever. So I don't want anybody saying, "Oh, why help?" You don't like him defending his teammate. No. I have no problem with that. None whatsoever. Why is it in basketball, like every other sport? Like in football, we have never had a football conversation where a team says, "Oh, well, we should overlook the ring culture." Like if in the NFL, all 32 teams try to do what they can. Cleveland try to do what they can to win the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
We don't hear the team that falls short. I didn't hear New England after they lost in the Super Bowl this year say, "Oh, well, we should lay off on ring culture." And maybe part of that's because New England's head coach had other personal affairs to get to. But that's
he had his own ring to figure out.
He had his own ring. Actually, legitimately, he had his own ring to defend this past summer.
Yeah.
The spring. Yeah. But you get my point. Like, you don't hear, Josh Allen talking about, well, we should overlook the rings, right? It's about how well we played as a team. It's about how well we did. You don't hear, for the most part, even in baseball. And I know baseball is a different conversation in terms of spending and what's allowed it and things like that. But it's not good enough just to be around. Like, you got to win. Why is it a penalty in basketball anytime people bring up rings and championships? Like, that's the whole effing point of why you're here.
Yeah, I think a lot of times AA is because of super team era. And, people started devaluing rings or trying to say this ring doesn't matter as much as this ring and this ring doesn't matter as much as this ring. And, well, hey, LeBron teamed up with these guys to win that. And, they brought Kevin Durant over to Golden State, so those rings don't matter as much. Or, hey, you know what? That was in the bubble. That was during COVID, so that Lakers ring doesn't really matter. And they've got to the point of devaluing rings, almost to the point where now rings don't matter to a lot of these players. Well, it's just having fun with their buddies, and we're trying our best. You know what? But I will say this. The biggest thing that stood out to me about this video is that Donovan Mitchell, I think his beard started growing a lot more during the video. It almost turned into like a James Harden-esque beard. Like he was like literally James Harden defending himself. I mean, I've never heard somebody defend somebody that he played 7 games with in the regular season and then played a postseason run with him. And James Harden, in the clip we came back from break with about, well, hey, we've accomplished a lot as a team. This is our first time going. No, wrongo. This is your first time with the team, James Harden. This team, this culture, this core for the most part has been together. This is not their first time. So we're not going to hear that from the outsider, respectfully. You've joined late. You are just an addition to try to help. So no, this is not the first time. So that alone. And Donovan Mitchell, I mean, he's got to be careful because if he keeps talking like that and he keeps moving the way he's moving, defending James Harden, he's going to turn into James Harden. 17 years in the league without a ring, and he may not even get to where James Harden got to at 2012 NBA Finals as the sixth man. Donovan Mitchell may never get there. So if he keeps talking like that, the beard is going to continue to grow. He'll turn into James Harden, and we'll be talking, he's in his 9th year in the league. We'll be talking about 8-9 years about Donovan Mitchell being 16, 17 years in the league without a ring.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell, he turns 30 in September. And I don't want to, I'm on the other side myself, but I'm not in the NBA, so this kind of doesn't apply to me.
Yeah, you're in your prime. You're telling me
I am. You know what? And again, next segment, I'm going to talk about the Chicago trip. I figure we have a ton of news every single day, so I have to spend a few minutes at least talking about the Chicago trip. And I feel like I'm in my prime right now. I was going to say that at 34. But in the NBA with Donovan Mitchell, you don't realize it. There are a few alarming, and I'm not saying James Harden is all bad, right? I'm not saying, cripple his career. I'm not doing that. Like, it should be alarming, and more so in Donovan Mitchell's side of things, Eli, that, okay, let's take Donovan Mitchell's word here from that clip. He's 36. He's still operating at a fairly decent level. Okay, James Harden has way more mileage than you, than Donovan Mitchell in the league. Why is James Harden leading the team in playoff minutes?
Yeah.
I'll give James Harden this credit, and James Harden has many flaws, but the one thing I will give James Harden credit for the most part, he's out there on the floor. He's a healthy body. I'm watching playoff games where we need our stars. We need superstars to show up, and all because it's part of the rotation. Donovan Mitchell is out of the game 6 minutes in during major important playoff games. I get it. That's the rotation in the regular season. But in the playoffs, where you need to pounce on these teams, we never was able to build on big leads. And Donovan Mitchell's not going to Coach Atkinson and say, I need to be in the game the entirety of the first quarter.
Yeah.
The game at least the first 9 minutes of the first quarter. We need to be out there to set the tone against these tough teams. I'm more concerned about the mileage of Donovan Mitchell. Oh, and by the way, his health is always in question as well, body-wise, Eli.
Yeah, and my final thoughts is on this, because I know you got a lot more to cover on these Cavaliers, and I'm trying to put a bow on it for today till tomorrow. But my thoughts are, with Donovan Mitchell, it's like a lot of what I heard in that clip was like what you would hear from somebody you don't want to listen to. Somebody, you get on a phone call. We've all been there, double. You see the phone ring, and you're like, damn it, I don't want to answer this. I really don't want to answer them. I got to take this. I missed the last 3 calls. Okay, let's answer it. You answer it, and you're like, it sounds like the Charlie Brown parents. Like, you don't hear nothing. It's a bunch of blah, blah, and excuses. And that's what it was for Donovan Mitchell. How quickly we are to bring up the thumb injury for James Harden that, again, he didn't bring up. Nobody brought up. So if it's not brought up by the players, it's not acknowledged, then why is it being used as an excuse? You saved all your excuses. You guys did a good job. That's the one thing the Cavaliers did very well in this series, is they said, Donovan said he's great, he's not hurt, and they're all great. They're analytically winning and all that jazz. And now here comes the excuses. The thumb injury. You remember when he was on the hamstring? Remember he played some good Golden State teams? Well, that's the point, Donovan. I know this is your first Eastern Conference Finals. That's what happens when you get to the Final Four. You play even better teams, and you have to beat them to get there. And I don't know for Donovan if was the fright of the Eastern Conference Finals, if it was injured, if he was injured or just tired, and that's just a different discussion on cardio, or maybe he started seeing the New York Knicks, and he's like, well, I grew up in New York. I can't beat the Knicks because they're my team. All the familiarity. I don't know what it was, but Donovan Mitchell, honestly, that was loser behavior talking at the presser yesterday.
I think, and we may have all summer to answer that question. This is one of those cases. And let me put up McKee's comment here real quick. This was about Dan Gilbert earlier, choosing the path of least resistance here, and why, hey, if you lose out on Giannis and LeBron, that's why. That's the reason why you want it. It's easy to fall back and be comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
If you let me be clear about a couple things. If you want to just say, "Hey, we have a team that Cleveland could be proud of, and they could win games in the regular season," fine. Extend Donovan Mitchell. You're going to extend James Harden, but make a full commitment to James Harden. Give Kenny Atkinson a long-term contract. Fine. Just run it. Have a team. Treat it like minor leagues, basically. We have a team here in Cleveland that fans can be proud of.
Well,
Fine.
I'll say this. My final point on this double A before we go to break is I find it interesting that Mike Gansey's getting discussions, about being a GM for other teams. And Kobe Altman has had no discussion. I get Kobe's in a different position in the office, but usually when guys are higher up, they get talked about for filling roles in other teams. And you wonder if Mike Gansey leaves the organization, what that does for the Cavaliers. We haven't talked about that a lot yet, but I think this summer we should look at it. If he does depart from the organization, was he helping a lot more with some of these moves, and was he more connected to Dan Gilbert in these discussions than we think? Or was it really Kobe Altman? I guess we'll find out if Gansey leaves, but I wonder.
That's a good – put a pin on that because I do want to come back to that. That's a good point. Let's explore that in the next coming shows. My last point on this, on Donovan Mitchell, based on what you said a few minutes ago. I think sometimes when you just accept that this is who you are, I don't think they see that this is a loser mentality. I think in their eyes, I think when they hear us have – when you hear, and I'll be honest myself here, this is me being real, right? Eli and I, we've known each other for over a decade, and I pride myself on, being able to work with a lot of people over the years, right? There are times when, not every, I don't want to, I'm going to be humble as much as I can when I say, you know what? Let's take a break because there's a big point I want to make out of this. Sometimes not everyone can measure up to you, but also the flip side can happen as well, where if the standard is too high, you get comments like what Donovan Mitchell just delivered. We're going to come back, I think, in like 2 minutes. This is a big point that I want to make. We'll be right back.
Mosser Moments Photography is a husband and wife wedding photography team based in Cleveland, owned and operated by Inside Edge Network's very own Ryan Mosser and his wife Hallie. For the past 10 years, they've captured more than 100 weddings across Northeast Ohio and beyond, always working together as a true two-person team. Their style centers on authentic, emotional storytelling, documenting the real moments between two people in love and creating images that feel natural, comfortable, and true to the couple. Rooted in Northern Ohio but inspired by their travels, Ryan and Hallie bring a warm, personal approach to every wedding day. Their work blends experience, consistency, and a genuine passion for helping couples relive their best day through timeless photography. Learn more at MosserMomentsPhotography.com by using the QR code on your screen right now. MosserMomentsPhotography.com, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Find us on InsideEdgeNetwork.com for the latest information on your favorite shows, personalities, and network partners. Plus, guess what? We have a merch shop. That's right, we have network polos, t-shirts, champion jackets, hats, and bottles. Rep the network. Every purchase supports independent sports and entertainment media. Use the QR code on your screen right now to check out InsideEdgeNetwork.com. That's InsideEdgeNetwork.com. Whether searching for a baseball autographed by your favorite World Series slugger, a signed football by an iconic Hall of Famer, or the jersey of a world-famous soccer star, you've come to the right place. Here at SportsMemorabilia.com, the web's leading source of authentic sports memorabilia, you'll find more than 500,000 authentic products from nearly every professional sports league, team, and players. Not only will you find your next prized sports possession with ease thanks to superb customer service and tremendous site experience, you'll have the satisfaction and peace of mind that every product listed comes complete with a certificate of authenticity and is fully backed by the SportsMemorabilia.com lifetime authenticity guarantee. Go to sportsmemorabilia.com by using the QR code on your screen right now. Sportsmemorabilia.com, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Podcast Network, Cleveland's digital leader.
Hey, everybody. Chad Bryan and Eli Moon. We are, yes, Inside Edge Prime Time here on the Inside Edge Network, 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. We are here with you every weeknight. We are back in the saddle, on the saddle, in the saddle, on the saddle. As the Cavaliers are done now with their season, they unfortunately got swept by the Knicks. We talked about that and gave some more reactions. A lot of Cavaliers news and rumors and reports to break down over the next few weeks and next few months. We'll be all on top of that and discussing the Cavaliers and where they go from here after a disappointing Eastern Conference Finals loss to the New York Knicks, who advanced to their first finals since 1999. Chad, we talked about that. Of course, it is now time to really bring baseball to the forefront, to the front and center focus. And we talked some Guardians, a lot to be excited about with those Guardians, including, the offense and a lot of other things. Yeah.
No, there's a ton of people. Listen, the weather's warming up, so the Guardians are going to warm up. And speaking of warming up, you might want to warm up the grill because there's a Tuesday top 5 list, and we said we were going to stay away from food. Did we do it? We'll find out. Why are you warming up the grill? Watch the Tuesday top 5 and watch the rest of the episode too, and you can find out.
Absolutely. Had a great Tuesday here. We're with you again tonight, 10 o'clock Eastern time. We'll have some more Guardians talk. We'll probably have a little bit more of Cavaliers talk to get off of our chest. And then we send Chad back into the time machine. No kerosene, diesel this time. We're going to send him back in there. We'll see if he comes back unscathed and if we can keep him as a very important member of the Bryan household and here on the Inside Edge Network. Stay tuned tonight, 10 o'clock Eastern time. Set your calendars, set your alarms. We're with you this evening. Can't wait to see you.
I think he just came back to me, saying that, it's normally banged up like you are at this time of year. There wasn't any specific, he's got to get an MRI or look at this. I think he's just generally banged up, generally fatigued.
That was Kenny Atkinson following Game 4 last night, talking about Donovan Mitchell and his health. Okay, I want to bring this up briefly, and then I'm going to talk about the Chicago trip to kind of close things out. I went to Chicago over the weekend, got a lot of things to share with Eli and all of you. My last point is this about Donovan Mitchell's comments that we played earlier today. Cameron Justice had it from News 5. Defending James Harden, but what really irked me was the anti-ring culture and all that stuff. I hate that term too, ring culture. Okay. I think I'm just going to say this as humbly as I can. Not everyone can work for me. And I say that because everybody who works on the Inside Edge Network or anybody who has worked with me on any other venture that we have done, they know that I place high standards and high expectations for what we do. As the program director of the Inside Edge Network, obviously, we have goals and what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to put out great content, but also we're a business, right? So, we also have to bring in sponsors and do all of that. We, social media, digital, and there's a ton of things that makes this work. And that's not even including the day-to-day content operations as well, right? We could do all this stuff, but if the content's not good, then what are we doing? On top of that. So I place a ton of expectation on myself and on my team to win. There are certain things that if you just, and also part of that is the reason why Eli is the assistant PD of this network. It's exactly why he's the assistant PD. Is we have an organization. There are certain things that happen on a day-to-day that if you just allow it to slide, all of a sudden it becomes normal. And then if somebody comes in and tells you this is not the right way to do it, then you offer there's resistance. There's resistance. For 3 years, close to 3 years, I had the opportunity to produce the morning show, Ken Carmen and Anthony Lima, at 92.3 The Fan, earlier in the decade. And it was a very rewarding time. but it was a demanding job. Not because nobody was difficult to work with, but the reason why everyone in Cleveland loves that morning show is because each and every single day there were standards placed. And it was my job and whoever else worked on that show. Shout out to my guy Owen, who's on that show as well, producing. Every single day there are high standards. Every day I had to live up to those standards, put in the shows together, the rundown, going over the topics, for those guys, having guests lined up each and every single day. And on top of that, handling digital stuff. I mean, we were testing out new things with Odyssey. One of the things that Odyssey does now, if you go on their app, they have segment by segment, labeling, all the segments. I was one of the people who tried that out, trial based for the first time before the other shows rolled it out. It was my responsibility to operate that to its highest ability. So I had to answer to all of that. I had to answer to Andy Roth, who was the PD at the time. I had to answer to Keith Britton. All great minds, high standards. There's a difference when you are in a operation with high standards versus a losing culture and a losing mentality. And when you're in a culture of a losing mentality, those comments, like what Donovan Mitchell had, and you heard others, it becomes the norm. I mean, James Harden, as much good as he has done in this league, he is only, a couple games behind Karl Malone in terms of number of playoff games without winning a title. All of a sudden, that becomes normalized. It becomes accepted. So as much noise as we're bringing, and we've had every bit of emotion, from anger to disappointment to sadness, all the above. And to us, we do it because we see the talent and we see things could get better. What Dan Gilbert did today in retaining Kenny Atkinson and retaining Mike Gansey and Kobe Altman, he said, as much as Dan Gilbert wanted to say, oh, we're going to grind and work hard, comfortability and path of least resistance won. And path of least resistance will lead to a decent regular season before you get your behinds kicked in the playoffs. And in turn, by the way, get fans' hopes up and then a letdown. All right. I promise I got to deliver. Chicago. What a trip. And this is going to be a multi-day story that I kind of explain because there's a few observations. This past weekend while Omar was running during the show, I'm sorry, Omar, I had to, man. Omar Klossel, he will be our morning show host, Inside Edge Network morning show with Omar, beginning on Monday, 9 a.m. Don't miss it. 9 a.m. Omar's working at a studio. It's going to be a great show. So can't wait. Monday, June 1st. But over the weekend, I travel. So a few things, a few observations. Number one, when you're traveling on the road, please do your research on gas prices. Do your research on the tolls. I did not realize how expensive the drive to Chicago was going to be. It was my first time in Chicago. My college friends, they've lived here for a long time. New job opportunity. They just moved out to Chicago a month ago. And they were great. They're not on social media. They don't look for social media shout outs or anything, but they know how appreciative I am of them for inviting me out there and taking care of me. I don't deserve the love that they gave me. I don't deserve the love that anybody has given to me really at all. Everyone is fantastic. But please do your research because I did not do the research. And Google will lead you to basically pay more money than what you need, right? I didn't realize this. Like Google Maps and Apple Maps does the same thing. it's not really clearly defined which areas of the road are considered a toll. So it's not simply just the Ohio Turnpike, Interstate 80, Interstate 90. It's not just that. In Indiana, it's pretty simple. It's just, north, right? I didn't realize that in Chicago, if you crossed a bridge, you're spending $8 to cross a bridge on Interstate 90. I did not realize when I veered off of 90 briefly, once I passed Gary, Indiana, I think it was State Route 912. Crossing a bridge was another $3. I'm sorry, $4. Like, what the hell? If I would have done my research, I would have, just take the side streets. Yeah, you got to drive an extra 5 minutes, but I would have saved $13, $14, $15. Also, you could take another few extra minutes, go on 94, and then stay on 94 when you get close to Chicago instead of taking 90. You would save a little bit of time. So do your research there. Also know which areas to get gas. Like, for example, in Western Indiana, gas was in the low $4 range per gallon. In Illinois, is in the upper fives. And in Toledo, I had to refuel. It was in the upper fours, about $4.70 range there. So do the research there. Anywho, in Chicago itself, fantastic. We stayed in the Lincoln Park area. No, not the band, but the actual park area. It was fantastic. A lot of walk, a lot of great restaurants. And the thing that stood out to me, and I say this as a 34-year-old male who is single and doesn't have children that I know of. When you walk outside, a ton of life outside in terms of couples, people jogging, people with dogs, people with young children. It was a playground across the street in a park, like people just outside, people walking to restaurants, people riding their bikes and things like that. Everywhere. And yes, you can drive, but why bother driving where everything is within walking distance? It was incredible. Also, and I will give you more of a review on this in the coming days, went to Wrigley Field for the first time in Chicago. The one point of the trip that I was disappointed in, I wanted to hate Cubs fans so bad. I hate to say this, at least the ones I ran into, they were all effing nice. I hate to say that because of 2016, but they were all nice. And we don't have time to really get more into the Wrigley Field. But I will say this. I have been to, obviously Progressive Field, but I've been to PNC Park in Pittsburgh, Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, Busch Stadium, the new Busch Stadium in St. Louis, and now Wrigley Field in the north side of Chicago. So my list is not that extensive in terms of ballparks, but each ballpark I've been to have each told a story, not just with the ballpark itself, but the surrounding areas. And that part of it is really cool. We might do an episode down the road of best ballparks in baseball, because there's obviously history there with Wrigley Field there. So that was incredible. I told you we earned our meals because we walked from Wrigley Field. We took the train from my friend's spot to Wrigley Field, and then we walked back. We walked 3 miles back. So we earned our meal. In fact, we were so hungry that we stopped at Trader Joe's and picked up an ice cream sandwich, and that was a highlight. That was a highlight. I couldn't believe it. Food. You probably want to know my opinion about the food. Okay. Chicago deep dish pizza. Pretty good. The place we went to, I forgot the name of the place, and they're not a sponsor, so it's okay. But the crust outstanding. Our opinion, however, I really believe with Deep Dish, and if you had Deep Dish chime in, we only have pepperoni, and I love pepperoni pizza. The problem with a deep dish, you almost have to treat it like you need more toppings. You need more filling toppings. So it almost seemed like you didn't really taste the pepperoni. It really was just cheese and sauce on the inside. You almost need sausage. You need other stuff in there to have a fulfilling deep dish pizza. But overall, again, pretty good stuff and made and things like that. Italian beef, that's their go-to. And I did not know this, but Italian beef. At the Cubs game, it was all seasoned, and I had the Italian beef with green peppers. I'm not really a jalapeno person, but I tried it. Oh my God, it was amazing. It was amazing. On top of the hot dogs, the burgers, and things like that. Pretty good. My buddy wanted me to try their Chicago dog, which was a hot dog with a bunch of vegetables. And I looked at my buddy and said, that's too much green on that hot dog. I will not be consuming that. I'm cool here in Cleveland with hot dogs, mac and cheese, and Fruit Loops. And the slider dog, that's what it is here in Cleveland. More on the baseball experience in the coming days, because I want to talk with Eli and Chad about that separately, and Omar. There's a zoo. Oh yeah, and Omar went, and Omar gave me suggestions. We did not, to Rob Rozicki's disappointment, we did not make it to Cindy's Bakery. That was the CM Punk bakery. We did not make it there. Funny thing about CM Punk, and CM Punk's shirt, the stripe and everything like that, I almost made a fool of myself and walked in to a restaurant and say, you're wearing CM Punk's shirt, not realizing that's a Chicago shirt. So I almost made a fool of myself. One little nugget too, in the Lincoln Park district, they have a zoo. Their zoo, the Lincoln Park Zoo, fantastic. And it's free. I mean, you got to pay for concessions and things like that, but admission free. Now, I'm not going to come on these airwaves and say that the Cleveland Metro Park should be free. I'm not saying that at all, because the Lincoln Park Zoo is one of the very few remaining free admission zoos in the entire country. And it's in the middle of it's like you have the zoo, it's right at the lake shore, and then you look around, oh, there's a skyline to Chicago. So it's crazy. Eli, come on the screen here. We're almost done here, but a couple of sports observations.
Yeah.
One, okay, let me get this out of the way. Chicago knows how to do their lakefront. And no disrespect, full disrespect to Cleveland. Sandusky has a better lakefront than we do here in Cleveland.
Okay.
Chicago, sports-wise, Soldier Field is at a terrible location. Soldier Field is right on the lake, but there's a major road. There's no place to park. It's basically it's housed in a block, and it's clear and obvious that why Chicago needs a new stadium.
Mm-hmm.
So you do have that. And then I briefly brought this up yesterday, but I'm one of those people, because I was solo driving, I don't listen unless it's Eli and I'm listening to his songs, which I did. I personally like to flip around to different radio stations.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a broadcasting nerd. I like to hear what's going on in other towns. And so the Detroit one we'll get more into tomorrow. But in Chicago, the big story in Chicago right now is that the Cubs, at least when I was there, the Cubs have dropped 8 straight games.
Yeah.
I don't know if they won today or yet. I don't care. That's not my team. But
yeah,
when I was there, they dropped 8 straight. And I flipped over to their sports talk station. I believe it's 103 The Score, there in Chicago.
Mhm.
And they're like, okay, all right, fans, what would you do if you were the Cubs? If you could name one thing that you could do if you were the Chicago Cubs, what would it be? First caller, fire the manager. Okay. All right.
Okay. All right.
All right. Cool. Second caller, go in the clubhouse and take away all the alcohol.
Okay. Okay. What?
Third caller, change of ownership. Okay. All right. So,
All right, buddy. All right.
All right. So if you think all bad callers just exist in Cleveland, Ohio.
Well, I got some, I know we're up against, I know you're probably talking more Chicago tomorrow. I mean, first off, it's good to know that we aren't the only crazy sports town at time to time, and Chicago's going through it too. I just checked while we were chatting here. Cubs lost 12-1 to the Pirates today, so they are continuing their losing ways, and I'm sure those calls will continue on the score tomorrow.
Yeah, they will. Yeah, they will. It's great. Yeah, it's just crazy. Also, I left. I was gonna leave Sunday, and then they fed me. It was a soul food place. Saturday. There's a place that serves fried rice at 9:00 at night.
That's amazing.
And it's like fried rice, a fried egg, chicken. And then we got as an app, we got Boom Boom shrimp. And we left the sauce. And we dripped the sauce in the fried rice and the egg and the chicken.
Okay, everything but the shrimp. I'm not a seafood guy, but that sounds phenomenal. Still,
and honestly, you don't even, if you're not a seafood guy, that's okay. But even just the sauce, you will love the sauce.
Oh my goodness.
A little bit kick, but just the flavor. And the way I do spice, I don't like things like hot, just for the sake of it being hot. But I will dig spicy if there's flavor.
You're gonna have to take me to Chicago, and I'm gonna have to take you to Texas because I think you'd enjoy some good Texas barbecue. I think get you hip to some Mex-Tex out there too. Some of the taco. We got to get you hip some Texas food. You got to get me back out to Chicago. I haven't been since my senior year of high school.
We're gonna do a show. It might be a crossover show. We're gonna do a show out of town food that we have to try.
Yes,
we're gonna put all of our expertise. This might be a whole network thing. We're gonna put all of our expertise, together and food, out of town food.
I love it. I love it.
Have to try out.
I'm with it. No, yeah.
So Sunday, the plan was to travel back on Sunday. But here's what happened. My friends took me to the soul food place for lunch. After we walked the zoo and everything like that, we walked to the soul food place. I had chicken wings, had this breakfast potatoes. It was still their brunch. They had this honey cornbread.
Come on, Double A. I just did a top 5 of our Memorial Day cookout foods.
Come on. God. This was so good. They had this honey cornbread. It was and it was just the flavor. It was just there. It was just and then they had these non-alcoholic drinks because the expectation I was going to drive back, and I had this kiwi drink or whatever. It tasted like a high-class glass of Kool-Aid.
Yeah. It's and like Omar said, we love talking food on this network. LOL. Yeah, we are not the Food Network or the Inside Edge Network. We just talk about food from time to time. Double A. That cornbread is where like my stomach. I'm surprised nobody heard that. Just my stomach just go. I'm hungry. Feed me.
Here's why. Because we were talking. Here's the thing. I truly appreciate those who really, really know how to make cornbread, right?
Yes.
My mom's on the top of that list. Grandma's on the top of that list. Like, there's just something about good cornbread.
Oh, yeah.
That's just because what you want, because what you want, like, all right, it's got to be a little bit of, flavor. It has to be a little bit tough on the top.
Right. It can't be just straight give. It's got to have a little bit of a, fight back.
Right. It has to have a little bit of something. But man, I took that fork and I sliced it and then it got in my mouth. Pause. And oh my God. Oh man. It was great. Not even to count all the other stuff that was there. My buddy got he ordered catfish and grits.
Oh my goodness, y'all were getting down. Y'all were getting down.
Catfish and grits, and then his wife, my other friend, she had the classic chicken and waffles. The waffles was top tier. I would have ordered the waffles if I was not planning on driving back.
Yeah, and you didn't.
I did not, but I had a piece of the waffle. Oh my god.
My question to you, because I think we got more Chicago. I mean, it's up to you, but I think we might have more Chicago to talk about tomorrow. I mean, because I think there's a little bit more we haven't unpacked yet. But my question to you is, did you have a Chicago dog? Did you have a Chicago hot dog?
No. Honestly, I didn't eat any hot dogs this past weekend. I'm a hot dog guy. I love hot dogs, but I did not have any hot dogs this weekend.
Okay, because I know they do like the pickle, I think, and like the relish or whatever. They do like something different.
No. That's what.
That's right. Yeah, I'm so silly. I'm so
Absolutely
silly.
not.
Yeah, you don't do any condiments. What am I thinking?
Well,
Yeah.
I do. I brought up on your show earlier that I do Polish boys, the fries and the barbecue.
That's fair. You don't do like condiments that typically go on a hot dog, ketchup or mustard.
Yeah, no.
You don't do like relish, no relish or like onion.
No, my dad used to love relish. I couldn't do it.
I got you. I'm not a relish guy either. Papa Moon does all the fixins. If they have like 18 different like condiments, he's like, yeah, just put them all on there.
Can I tell you how picky I am with food real quick? When I was younger, my grandfather fired up hot dogs and stuff. Yeah. And my granddad, he didn't know. He put mustard on the hot dogs. Like, here you go. And I didn't, I don't want mustard. Okay, that's okay. We'll just wipe it off. No, because it's still.
Dude, that's funny though. That's so funny because like I think about like how picky I was growing up as a kid. My Aunt Monica, rest in peace to her. She hasn't been with us in 6 years now. But when I was younger, I was a big York peppermint patty guy, bro, which is crazy because you think of candy for kids and like, whatever, like York peppermint patty was my go-to. And I remember the one time we were in the car, we just got out of Walmart. We bought the York peppermint patty and my aunt's like, I take a bite, just a small bite. And I was like real picky, like nobody eating off my food, nothing, like food can't touch. And she took a bite and I still feel bad to this day. I was like, no, I could eat the York peppermint patty. Man, dude, it's crazy.
It was great. And then we got more about the Chicago trip tomorrow. It was just after I had that soul food on Sunday, it's like, oh, you want to? I'm like, let me get out of my advice, ladies and gentlemen, never drive when you're tired. So
yeah.
That food sat in. So, and then my buddy, he was like, oh, by the way, I ordered AEW Double or Nothing. Well, darn, if I stay, I guess I have to watch AEW. Oh, darn.
Yeah, dude. Hey, you know what? You were Pop Moon does those Soul Check Sundays every week on social media every Sunday. You were having your own Soul Check Sunday. It was checking on your vibes and making sure you were able to get driving the next day.
But you know what? Again, we did so much walking. I checked earlier. I had over 16,000 steps on Saturday.
Hey, that's awesome. That's awesome. No,
so we earned our meals.
Sure did. That's like, yeah, man. There's nothing better than like finding new cuisine out in a different state. And I'm glad, like I said, I think you probably got a few more things I'm sure you got to talk about with this trip. Put a bow on it officially. But man, bro, I'm glad you had a good time. You look like you're refreshed. You look recharged. We missed you over the weekend and on Friday. Omar did a great job. We'll have him again. You said June 1st, obviously morning show here on the Inside Edge Network. But we missed you, bro. It was weird. Like I meant to make a few calls to you, and I'm like, let me just let this guy chill. He don't ever chill and just enjoy himself. So I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. I'm happy you're back, ready to rock. But yeah, man, I'm glad everything went well.
Oh man, thanks for that. We got more of the trip to unpack. Eli, let me go solo for 2 seconds though to close out. The one thing I did wanted to briefly bring up at the I very rarely on this show talk about death because it's the midnight show. It's the last thing anybody wants to talk about and discuss is death and things like that. And I'm not going to get into particulars. It's not my story to tell. But when I did come back from the trip, you scroll on Facebook, just to see what's going on and everything. And I read that one of my cousins passed away. And, cousins are interesting because, especially cousins around your age. because, in the immediate family, you have your brothers and sisters. I have an older brother, of course, your parents, things like that, but oftentimes your first friends, or, you consider extended brothers or sisters, are your cousins. And, when you're younger, growing up, they're the ones that you're outside playing with, and they're the ones that you go to for sleepovers and things like that, playing video games or hooping or whatever, just talking shop, just hanging out, Memorial Day cookouts. Those are the ones you're hanging with and everything like that. And what ends up happening as life, the worst thing about life, the best thing about life is that we do grow up. We do, we get into our own thing. The worst thing about life is that there's, admittedly, I have not done a good job keeping up with people. So I do remember, growing up, okay, you're in high school and then now you're in college and, getting into broadcasting, things like that. You obviously stay connected with your immediate family, but, you grow your friend circles and things like that, and other life things happen. And then in the blink of an eye, your cousins, it's no fault of them or anything like that. Nobody's at fault, but then your cousins have children, and they have their own families, and things like that. So sometimes, yes, you keep up through social media, but it's not the same as being there in person. And because of our added responsibilities of this capitalist world that we're in called America, where we have to work, and take care of ourselves and things like that. Oh, we need to stay in touch. You stay in touch with your immediate family. You stay in touch with your close friends. You stay in touch with your work, and things like that. And that's it. And sometimes you lose touch, not in terms of social media, but in terms of actually physically being there. You lose touch a little bit with your cousins and stuff. But in the back of your mind, you're naive and you're thinking, oh, everything's cool, everything's okay. Again, it's not my story to tell from that perspective, but getting that news when I came back, it's one of those things when you read it. My uncle shared the news. When you read it, you don't believe it, right? And then you do your normal questioning and things like that. But it's a gut punch. It's sad. I got that news on Sunday. I didn't tell anybody here or, anywhere, because I was still processing the news. And for things like that, you kind of wait until, there's a pecking order of when you say something. So in a way, I kind of waited my turn with that. But yeah, we're big on mental health. We're big on those things. We're big, not just mental health, but also physical health, taking care of yourself and things like that. I will openly admit, sometimes I hear people say, check on each other and things like that. Ah, okay, I'll check. But it means a ton to do that, because you just never know. You never know. I don't try to force religion on anybody. I'll just say from my own testimony that I have leaned heavily into leaned heavily into God this year, and my life has greatly improved since. My own mental health has greatly improved since that moment. But if you believe in that, send a prayer, because my cousin leaves behind young children. And those are the ones that it's like, that's where it's tough. That's where it's going to be tough, because I know how much she loved being a mom, and, she loved those kids. And that's the toughest part about all of that. But it's sad. It's really sad. It's another reminder that in this world, we get one shot at this. In this world, we get one shot. Don't, work hard, do what you need to do to make the money that you need to make, do the things that you want to do, but also take the time to enjoy, because you just never know. You don't want to leave anything on the table. If you leave things on the table, at some point you'll look down and say, man, 5-6 years have passed by, and then 10 years has passed by, and 20 years has passed by, and so again, prayers to, and thank you, everybody. If you follow me on my personal Facebook, thank you for your support and what's going on with that. But please send a prayer to that family, because, and those young children, because they're the ones that, that's tough. That's tough. I can't speak on their pain right now, but that's tough. So, checking on your loved ones and, and do that. You see? Yeah. So, all right. We got in the show. I wish there was a better way to end the show. I'm sorry, but it's been a tough couple of days and things. So this thing called life. It's this thing called life. So check in on your loved ones, checking on your people. And if it's that trip out of town and stuff that you've been, hey, we got to make that trip. Find a way to make the trip. Find a way. Save money. Even if you're only there for a day because you only have a few dollars, find a way to get there and do that trip. Okay. All right. Tomorrow, I promise we won't go 30 minutes over. That was one of those long USA Network overruns. We got to get to bed, but there's really no no better way to close the show. So rest easy. I know I got an angel with me throughout my life. All right. You guys have a great one. Thank you guys for joining us here on the Inside Edge Network. Remember to like and subscribe at Inside Edge Net. Again, our pillars here at the network: Cleveland's digital leader for sports, entertainment, news, community news, and mental health. We are big on that, good and bad. Kyle had a great story earlier today about how that rescue number has made a difference. So go back and watch Unfiltered. I love that. That was a great story by Kyle Cornell earlier. Okay, my lights are flickering, which means it's time to go to bed. Have a good night. Tomorrow, Scooble to the Guardians. What? And then we got other things. I'm sure the Cavaliers will make news as well. And we're going to pivot to the Guardians. Go figure. Once I start watching the Guardians, they start losing. Go figure. Okay, have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.